What's up, guys? I'm Sarah.
And I'm Haley.
And we're
the Device Girls. Our mission for our podcast is to inspire and empower,
educate, and learn all about the medical and healthcare industry as a whole.
So tune in, and we hope you enjoy this episode. Hey guys, welcome back to another one of our episodes. I'm Haley.
And I'm Sarah.
And we're the Device Girls. Today we have a special guest. Sarah, why don't you introduce her?
Yes, so this is the lovely Amber Richards. Amber and I waited tables together in our younger years back in the day, and now we both work in the healthcare and medical profession. And so she is a scrub tech, and I'm so excited to hear and learn about your journey as you've stepped into this career path. Yeah. And because it's been a minute since we caught up, but she's a doll, and I'm just so glad she's here with us today. So yes. Amber, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Amber, like they said. I grew up in a small town west of here from Merkel. Okay. So I, graduating high school, when you grow up in a family where, none of them went to college, which is not a bad thing. A lot of people do trade and stuff. And so I was like, I'm going to move to Midland, Texas. What the heck?
I did not know this, actually.
Yeah,
okay.
What a terrible choice. No one told me not to do it. So I literally went there for a semester, and I was going to do radiology, ultrasound.
Okay.
And then I was like, yeah, this is not for me. I hated it. I came back every weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So I came back and moved back home, and I started going to Cisco. And so I just started building up credits and thinking what am I going to do? I don't know. I knew I always wanted to be in the medical field and world. I just knew I did not want to be a nurse. That's just not me, and that's okay because the medical field world is so big that people have no idea, from, being a scrub tech, a medical sales, being a NP or a PA or a doctor. There's so much things that are behind, doors that people don't know.
Yeah.
So I just started taking classes, and then I had all these credits, and then I just started looking at Cisco, and I was like, okay, I'm going to apply to the surgical tech program. I'm just going to apply. I read about it. I looked it up, and I was like, oh yeah, this is my jam. I know I would love this. I know I would love to do surgery, being in their operating room, just doing, passing and just seeing so much stuff. And so I had I think 2 years of prereqs, and then I just applied for the program. I got in. The program's a year long. And so after the program, you got to take your state certification. And so I did that. I passed, and then I just started working, and I started on L&D first.
Okay.
And so and I was like, oh, I can do this, babies, that was a place where it was my first job, not waiting tables. And so it's a whole different world. And so I was like, I love this. You see the good, you see the bad, and you do see the ugly, but the good always outweighs the bad. And so, my husband was like, gosh, I just, your job. And I'm like, yeah, it is tough. And being in the medical field, it's not easy, even being a rep, y'all have to deal with doctors, not just doctors, staff, going into the OR. And it's some people don't want anyone in their room, and y'all probably get a lot of lash, and you're like, I'm here just to help.
We hear no a lot.
Yeah.
I haven't even, it's a dog eat dog world, and you're like, hey, I'm here to help you.
Absolutely.
Yes. I'm just doing my job.
We're all here working as one team for the greater good.
So I worked in L&D for about 4.5 years, and it was a good job. I really loved it. I still work there PRN.
Okay.
And so a bunch of my good friends that I still talk to today still work there. And so then after that, I was like, I need something different. You have this itch in life where you're like, I can do and I can be so much better. I'm just what is that? Yep. So I applied for another position at another place of surgeries I've never done, a whole different world. I took a 180, and I was talking to my husband, I'm like, God, what if I like hate it? Like, what if
Mhm.
I like can't do it? And he's like, whatever.
You can
You
do
can
anything."
literally do. He was like, you are the hardest worker I know. Like, you can literally do whatever you want. And so I literally just have that mindset now. I'm like, I can do whatever I want. Now,
Yeah.
obviously, I can't go be in like the WNBA, but like, I
You
can go
could.
do what I
Yes.
want. Like,
Yeah.
this
Yes.
world, like, I feel like a lot of people, you know, if I'm talking to like a younger crowd of people and you're in the medical field, like, get out of that comfort zone. Don't stand in the corner. Put yourself out there. Yeah, you know, you may be following someone. They're like, gosh, like, be annoying kind of, but like, don't be too annoying, but be out there and ask those questions and be uncomfortable, because that's when I feel like, yeah, you grow. Because if I could tell my younger self that, then I feel like could have started this career like 4 years earlier or something. And so, and then where I work now, it's a day surgery. And so it's total opposite what I did before, but I love it. Like, I'm so glad I took that jump, because it's like, dang, like, I love my job. I love what I do. And so, you know, it's like, what can I do now? How can I grow and be better, you know, with the knowledge and stuff I know now? And so, yeah, it's great.
I
That's
love
awesome.
it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
So,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
so let's talk a little bit about like what you do, because
Yeah.
I think like a lot of people
Don't know.
Don't
Yeah.
know.
They're like,
Can we back up though and like start with the schooling side of it?
Well,
what did like
Yeah, I just wanted her to explain exactly what she does
Oh,
first,
yeah.
and then go through like the
Okay.
prereq to get into
Yeah.
it. Because I think people listening may be like, "Wait,
what's this?
passing instruments? What does that mean?"
Yeah.
So, like,
So yeah, you apply. They only take like 10 people. You know, you take all these prereqs. I think it's like 8 or 10 classes. I can't even remember.
what are some of the prereqs?
Like anatomy, medical
terminology?
psychology, like English one.
Okay.
I can't, just like the basics.
Okay.
Basic college courses, really.
Okay.
And so, and then when you get into the program, they have like different courses you take. Like the first semester, I can't even remember what those are now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Honestly, like it's
Okay.
so, and then you start clinicals, which to me, I'm like, you should start clinicals like the day of.
Yeah.
Like,
Day one.
because I'm that person. I'm a visual person. Like,
Yeah.
I got to be in there. I
We
got
are
to
too.
see. I got to know. If I'm reading a book, I'm going to be like, this doesn't make sense to me. But I'm a visual learner. And
Yep.
being in the surgical tech world, like, it's visual.
Yep.
Like, you
Very.
have to be in there. You have to get your hands dirty. Like, you got to, reading a textbook, I mean, it's not, you know, helpful.
It's
to
I'm the
me.
same way. Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
the
And
same.
so then you start taking clinicals probably the second semester. And so, and then you just have to get so many cases. I want to say it's like 90 cases. And they're like,
Oh,
they like,
wow.
I think
That's
they
actually a
do
lot.
them like, I think it's 90. Could be wrong. But, and they have to like have different specialties, like so many ortho, so
Okay.
many like GYN, so many like general things like that. Like you can
Okay.
only get so many. And so, and then once you get your classes, I mean, during this time you're like studying for your state certification.
Okay.
And so you you study for that, and then you take it after you're done with the
Okay.
what is it called? The
The
course,
program,
like the
yeah.
class. But you also have to pass the class. Like, you know,
Mhm.
you're taking classes. It's not like, oh, we're just here to take a state, you know, certification.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
actually have to like,
Pass.
yeah. And so,
Was there like a specific grade point average or test grade you had to be above, like and maintain throughout the program throughout different tests?
I mean, no,
Okay.
like
I
A's
wasn't
and B,
sure.
like you
Okay.
can't fail.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
I mean, there has been like, I know like people have gotten kicked out of that program
Okay.
because, you know, you
Mhm.
can't just go in acting like a fool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Making a 60 on every exam.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like take it serious.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah. And you said the program was how long?
it's a year.
Okay.
Like August to probably like July.
Okay.
So about a year.
So like a school year.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you go through summer.
Okay.
So, and then what we do, and they're like, we don't have attendees. Like, we are the attendant. Like, we clean the rooms every
Really?
morning.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, which is fine. Like,
Yeah.
whatever.
What
It's
time
not
do you
that
get there
bad.
then?
6:30 in the morning.
Okay.
The first cases start at 7:30. So whatever room you're doing, where I work, we're very team oriented. Like,
Yeah.
it's so good. Like, it's so nice to work somewhere where we're all in this together,
Mhm.
and you can have fun while doing it.
Yeah.
So you can love your job, but you can also hate your job because of the people you work with. You know.
Yes. 100%.
And it's like, can be toxic.
Yeah.
So I'm so thankful the place I work with a great, great group of people. And so we go in, we like clean the room in the mornings, and we also we clean in between cases, and then we'll get their room ready for whatever doctor cases you're doing. So, there's preference sheets, and it's kind of like what case is on there and the doctor, obviously, and things that you need in that room for that case.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but sometimes it's just kind of like, you know what you're doing. You've been doing it so long, you don't look at that because you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll get the bed ready, put the suction, the Bovie. I'll look at the case card, which is like the preference card, and be like, okay, this is what we're doing. If I'm not familiar with it, so then I'll be like, all right, this is what I need. Here's the case. And then I'll start opening like sterilely.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to have like your mask on.
Walk us through that process.
Which
I should have told you bring everything and show us how to sterilely gown.
Oh my gosh. Gown and glove.
Okay. So walk us through that.
So when you're opening sterile, you have to be so many inches from the back table, and you have to open stuff sterilely because you're going into a case, you're going to someone's body. So you want the infection rate to be as low as it can.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you just open the back. There's usually stuff comes in packs. You have the drape, the light handles, the suction, the Bovie. There'll be blades in there. There'll be gowns, towels, a basin. And so it's all wrapped up sterilely, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
You have to open it one side. Someone has to open it from the other side, or you can. And then that's sterile. So you can't touch it without being gowned and gloved because that's infection rate.
Right.
And so I say if it's blue, don't touch it. If you're blue and that's blue, you're fine. But if you're not blue, don't touch anything blue because it's sterile. And so I'll just open everything that I have for that case on the back table. And then I'll sterilely open my gown and glove on the Mayo, open my instruments, and then I'll scrub. And then I'll go scrubbing for the case and start setting up.
Mm-hmm.
And so obviously you have to wait for the doctor to get there, but
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's
And then I
awesome.
scrub in and set up my Mayo.
Yeah.
And then
wait, your Mayo.
Yeah.
It's a silver
the
tray.
stand. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that's what it was called.
Yeah,
actually.
Mayo stand.
Okay.
Mayo.
So a
Yeah.
little background, with surgery cases, there's different instruments for different surgeons or whoever you're working with.
Mm-hmm.
And then
And they have different preferences too.
yes, they do.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
she will make sure that she has the right instruments for that surgeon. And then I wanted to circle back to what you said about don't touch it if it's blue. That's a big thing for reps. So if anybody's an aspiring rep, you have to learn how to stand at least 6 inches away from the scrub table. Don't touch anything.
Yeah.
Just
if you're looking to get into this field in any capacity, if you ever get the opportunity to shadow, be in the OR, don't touch anything blue.
Yeah.
For real.
That's it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just stand in the corner.
So
Literally. Yeah.
Don't
And
touch.
Pass
You're
out.
good.
If you
Yeah.
do, then just go to the wall. But
So-
yeah.
So then once you start a surgery case, what does that look like for you? Once the surgeon's in there, scrubbed in,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
So once the surgeon will come in, I'll gown and glove them. And then usually depends on the doctor. I usually just will start draping the patient out.
Okay.
Obviously the nurse will do a timeout, and that will state the patient's name, date of birth, what are we doing, what side we're doing, just so we're all on the same page.
Double checking everything. Yeah.
And so, and then the doctor, he's gown and glove. And sometimes I'll just start prepping for my nurse. Depends, what they're doing. Because sometimes doctors are they're ready to get started. And, we're a
Efficiency.
team.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So And then the nurse will prep, and then we'll drape out, if we're doing like a knee scope or we're doing like umbilical hernia, like I'll just start scoping out with or not scoping, I'll start draping out with either me or like sometimes they have a nurse practitioner with them. Most of the times they do, or PA, not a nurse prac. Nurse prac is usually
first assist. Yeah.
Right. And so, and then we'll drape the patient and I'll pull up like my Mayo with like my instruments on them and just start handing stuff to the doctor. Like I'll usually hand them like the marker first. And then if we need to do a tourniquet or, or we'll do local. And then I'll hand them the blade. Usually like I work with certain doctors that I've done it so much that they don't usually have to tell me.
You just know what's next.
I just know.
Yeah. How long did that take you to really start to figure that out? Like this surgeon, their preferences, their instrumentation, and like prepare for that next step.
Yeah. So at the surgery center, I would say probably a good year because, at the surgery center, like I'm doing a different room, different surgeon every day, and everyone's different. And then when you get new surgeons in, or, we're doing something new, we're doing the same thing, but we're going to use this instead.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so now I got to learn how to do it that way, which is nice about the medical field. Or I guess surgery room is like, it's always changing. And sometimes that can get old, but then sometimes it's for the better. It's faster, quicker. We're doing it this way because the, efficiency, the infection rate is lower. And so just things like that. I mean, probably a good year, I would say.
Yeah.
I think it keeps things from being so monotonous too, though.
Yeah.
And I feel like it gives like people like the hospital staff or surgery center staff like a little bit of a challenge, which I think is fun.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
have to learn.
Yeah. And it's like in the OR, it's always changing.
Yeah.
It's always something.
100%.
And all the advancements of technology, instruments, like everything that's to come and like releasing currently. I mean, it just is ever evolving.
There's always like something new.
That's awesome.
But it's good. And I'm okay with that sometimes until it's like something new every time. I'm like,
wait a second.
Is the rep going to be here?
Can they
Because I don't know how to do this.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with this. So I'm going to need them here.
Yeah.
So yeah.
How do you feel as though, like, walk us through like different relationships that you and how you approach those with, the circulator, the surgeon, the reps in the room, like.
Oh yeah. Like, so usually the nurses I work with, I pretty much like them all and they're all really good.
Well, yeah.
Like it's like, let's see. Some of them are my good friends that I've, like that meme that's like, oh, my best friend's 80-year-old Trina. I don't know. You're like, that's me. I'm 32 and my best friend is this 80-year-old woman. No, I'm just kidding. But, your relationship with the people in the OR is important because, some places I feel like if you don't have a good relationship with your nurse and that nurse knows how that surgeon is, but doesn't tell you or certain stuff, it can kind of leave you out to dry.
Yeah, communication can.
Yes. And it's like when you work in the OR, having a good relationship with your nurse is great. Like it's amazing. And then when you have good reps, it's like the whole flow of the OR is just like amazing.
Yeah.
And you can just like cut up and hang out and you're getting work done. Like, and it's successful and it's everyone's happy.
When the patient's most vulnerable and when they need, one team to come together for their benefit,
And so, if the rep's not there and I'm not familiar with the case, I'm like, I really hope someone comes here and shows me because I'm not familiar doing with this. And it could literally just throw off the whole room.
Yeah.
Like, when you go into the OR and say, you just kind of have to read the room. Because
Mhm.
some doctors are like, you don't talk,
Mhm.
Yeah.
unless they talk first.
Yeah.
And like some people just don't read the room. And I'm like, things are about to blow up in here if we would all be
Yeah.
quiet,
Yeah.
And so having a good team, like teamwork, team aspect, like in the OR, I feel like is like a thing you need to have,
Mhm.
and just communication,
Yes.
And so,
How do you yourself help foster that? I mean, you have the best personality. Like,
Yeah.
you're so
yeah.
a doll. But like, how do you yourself?
I was just
like,
trying to make sure, I'm in a good mood.
Yeah.
And, I'm like, hey, it's going to be a great day. We're going to do good. Like, it's going to be fine. And we have 12 cases and we're going to get it done.
Yeah.
And we're just going to keep on moving. Like, and I always try to look out for my circulator. Like, if they're new, I'm just like, hey, he doesn't like that, or she doesn't like that, or let's do it this way.
Good.
Or, because I don't want to leave them high and dry if they're new.
For sure.
Because I'm in that room the rest of the day with them.
Right.
So it's like, you don't want that surgeon
Yeah.
to be mad. And you're like, well, if I would have just said something, maybe that would have set the tone
Yeah.
a little different.
Yeah.
And so,
high communication.
Yeah. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
let's not piss off the surgeon at 7 a.m. this morning.
Yeah.
Because one thing is, like, a lot of times, maybe like the general audience listening doesn't know this, but surgeons like scrub in, walk in, and they like just
Get to
expect
it.
things to be like ready for them and ready to go how they want it.
right.
And so the second that like it's not, like,
Yeah.
a lot of times, one, they're
Sorry.
already under high pressure because a patient's on the table and like they're in that like
Zone,
surgery mode in
yeah.
the zone. And so you throw them off and like, it gets pretty intense in there at times
Mhm.
because they're just like, why? Because they expect that they walk in and
The
like
best.
scrub tech's prepared, circulators prepared, rep
Yeah,
is ready
yeah.
to go, everybody's prepared, knows what they're doing, and like, let's
Mhm.
just get this done.
Mhm.
Yes.
So I think that's like an important point to make because
Yeah,
some people don't
absolutely.
understand the whole operating room dynamic.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
they
think.
like watch Grey's Anatomy and they're like, I want to do that. And I'm like, well, it's really not like that.
No.
Like,
It's very different.
I'm sorry,
it is
but-
different.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
but I mean, yeah, just
So 12 cases. You said 12 cases earlier. Is that a normal, like?
girl, it has been for a couple weeks just for
Nice.
one day, one surgeon,
Yeah. Wow.
Wow.
and
Do
a
they
little
flip
more.
flip rooms?
Sometimes,
Okay.
yeah.
Mhm.
Usually, yes, we will.
Okay.
For
I'm like,
that.
if you're one surgeon's running 12 procedures, like,
Yeah.
they have to.
Yeah.
Especially
And-
for like ortho cases, you've got to be flipping around.
Yeah, it is ortho cases. Yeah. Which I love ortho.
What's
I
your-
just love that where I work, it's like I could be doing ortho today. I could be doing cataracts tomorrow, ENT the next day. Like,
Yeah.
it's nice. It's different. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's when I worked L&D. I was like, I need to change up.
Yeah.
Like, I know I can be.
I'm more dynamic than this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I love labor and delivery. Like, I love doing C-sections, tubules. Like, that was amazing. Like, especially for your first job, like out of school, like that's when like the fight or flight is like hitting you.
For real. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's like, we got to get this baby out in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and so that's a whole different world, but you either make it, you don't kind of there. And it's
Mhm.
not for everybody.
Yeah.
And so even, nurses that get out of school and they go through there, and they want to work there because they see like, the ups and the downs, but they're like, I really want to, work labor and delivery. It's it's good.
Mhm.
It's a whole different world than day surgery.
Mhm.
But, medical
Yeah.
field, you can do a little bit of everything.
What
So-
was the moment for you that you like, kind of touching back to when you said, oh, I know I want to do this? What was that aha though, that you knew this was the right fit for you? And how did,
I like going into surgical tech.
Yes.
Oh, just like knowing that I was just like, I'm like, I can work under pressure pretty well.
Mhm.
And also like, I love, like, stuff doesn't gross me out.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So I'm like, I pretty much have a pretty strong stomach.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh yeah, I can do that. Like, I can pass instruments. I can,
Yeah.
drape the patient. I would love to work beside like doctors and nurses, and it was just the foot in the door, and then you get in there and you're like, the OR lights, it's just like a different world that a lot of people don't know about.
Yeah.
And so
And it seems so scary to some, especially if you're not in the environment every day, right? Like,
Yes.
right.
I mean, to patients, that's their most vulnerable, scariest moment.
Yeah.
And for us, it's an everyday. And so it's crazy. And it's always so good to put yourself in their shoes and just ground yourself in that and remind yourself that every day to make sure.
That's like when I got pregnant, it was like sometimes you just know too much.
Yeah.
Like you do spines, and if you know someone having a spine surgery and you're like, and they ask you, and it's like sometimes you don't want to say anything because you're like, you just know too much and you don't want to scare them.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's just like when you're like, I'm not going to say anything because you don't want to put them in that situation also. But like the good, you've seen good, you've seen bad.
Bad, ugly.
Yeah. And so, but when it's good, it's great. And so that definitely outweighs, the bad days.
Absolutely. And and
I'm like, it can be a bad day, but I'm like, the day will end and I'll come back and it'll be a new day.
Yep.
And it'll be fine.
Yep.
So
still made it through.
Yeah.
As hard as it can be.
Get me out of this case.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, just kidding.
Yeah. I always find it interesting when because I don't know how you guys do, but sometimes there are patients that are still awake when they get wheeled into the OR, or some anesthesiologists knock them out before, and sometimes because I'll be around the room at the time, or sometimes I'll even be in there helping the scrub tech or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's I can just imagine what they're thinking. I would be freaking scared.
Yeah.
I'm still awake. I'm wheeled in. These lights are on. All these people are staring at me. There's these instruments on this table.
Yes.
What's going on?
Yeah.
So I always have to try and think about it from their perspective. Like Sarah was saying, yes, their most vulnerable moment. And I've never had surgery before.
Oh,
so I'm I've never even been under anesthesia.
Have you?
Yeah.
I'm
yes, when I was 8, I busted my eardrum. But and so I had my eardrum patch, but I was yeah. I just remember the OR lights.
It's a very different experience for kids versus adults. They're gonna make you feel like a superhero. And look at this, here we go. It's gonna be good. And just keep a little kid happy. Yeah.
Oh, hey, I would be happy if they did that to me, wheeling me back.
As an adult.
Okay?
Yeah.
I'm a superhero.
Can you give me some Versed, please?
Yeah.
I may talk too much, but at least I don't care.
Oh my God, that's
so
funny.
yeah.
Wait, so what was the transition like for you from labor and delivery to all of the different kinds of cases you're in the surgery center? Because I bet that was a big learning curve.
It was. So I'm like, okay, if you're in the scrub tech world and it's kind of the basic, I know how to scrub, I know how to pass, I know how to drape. So it's just something I already know how to do, but just learning different ways that doctors do stuff. 10 different ways, the same surgery, it was tough. So I literally kept a book. Well, I didn't. The girl that trained me made me a book. We called it my Bible book.
Oh, that's amazing.
And so, yes. And so
that.
she was such a good trainer. She's amazing. And so she made me this little book, and it had the doctor's name, what we were doing. And it literally had drape, what we were doing, draping, his order, suture, there, what the order was we would do.
Oh, awesome.
Little notes, don't talk unless he talks, or don't say this, or don't,
Yeah.
And so it was so nice because then I could just look at it and be like, okay, this is what we're gonna do, or and so now, I mean, I don't use it anymore.
Yeah.
But then,
did you hand it down?
I have it, but
the burn book on Mean Girls.
Right?
Did you pass it up?
No, I still have it, but I do give it to people that
I knew.
That will come. Yes, new. And sometimes we get students, and so I tell them, I'm like, take notes. I know you're a student, but if you come back and you circle through and you have to come back and do more like clinicals, like you're going to have this doctor's notes.
Mm-hmm.
And so you should be able to do it by yourself by then.
Yeah.
Because, even if you go to another place, like you kind of gist of like what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So writing down, it's like write it down. Like
Mhm.
no one's going to be like against it. I think they're like, dang, that's smart.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like one thing I'm like, I tell students, I'm like, write it down.
That's awesome.
Like get in there and do it. Like get out of your comfort zone. Like, because in this world, like you have to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or you're just going to like, maybe this isn't for me.
Right.
And then I think that's kind of like, awakening of like, what should I do?
Yeah.
So.
What was the.
But it was a learning curve.
Yeah.
It was. But when you have like supportive people behind you,
Yes.
you're like, I can do whatever.
Yeah.
I can do this.
Yeah.
Like, and so I just swallowed my pride and got out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
And then I just fell in love with, the
Mm-hmm.
surgeries that we do there. And so it's a different world, but it's a good, different world.
Mhm.
So
That's awesome.
yeah.
What was your learning curve like for the procedures and learning the anatomy and knowing what you're looking at and just like knowing the procedures step by step, like ready to flow, ready to go, like just how was that for you?
It's good. Like, I mean, when you do it over and over, like it's nice to see it more than once, but also like I always ask questions because I'm like, oh, what is that? Or like, how does this differ from this surgery than what we're doing? And so some doctors love to teach, love to like explain what's going on. And so I'm still learning to this day.
Yeah. Every day it's a new day.
It's every day. And then, if something doesn't go the right way, like usually I'll probably wait till after the surgery to ask the surgeon, like
talk me through this. Like help me understand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so, and usually they're pretty good about that.
That's awesome.
And so, I mean, when we're doing a different surgery like I haven't done before, I'm usually like, oh, I don't want to go in there, but I'm going to go in there.
Yeah.
You know? And then
outside of your comfort zone.
Yes. Get outside of that comfort zone because,
yeah.
That's when you're going to learn the best. And usually doctors are very like, if they know that you're trying and you are like 2 steps ahead of them, like it's great. But if they see that you're just like standing there, in the corner, not really doing anything, not trying to put any effort, that's kind of like, they're like,
why are you here?
Yeah. Why are you here? And
I feel like they're more willing to help you when you're actually like putting in the work. And also I have noticed this about myself. You saying, I don't want to go in there, but like you do anyway to get out of your comfort zone. Anytime I feel like I don't want to do this right now, I know that I should be doing it.
Yes.
Because
you know you're growing and in the right place.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I loved that you said that because I'm like, wait, yes.
Yes. Like and just get out of that comfort zone. But I mean, that comes with time and learning, and so, but yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Okay. What has been the most rewarding part of your job as a scrub tech so far?
Rewarding. Oh man. I guess the place where I work and the people I work with, I have a really good group of people I work with, and I'm just so thankful because they make me love my job more. Like I love going to work. Now, is every day perfect? No, but it makes going to work like better.
So enjoyable. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm thankful I get to work somewhere where, I get to see different stuff. I get to go into a room and my nurse is great. The doctors are great. It's just like we're our own little people, like our own little community. Yeah. And so it's nice because I do enjoy going to work. I mean, some days I don't want to go to work, but that's life, you'd rather stay home. Yeah. But if you like have, you have those days where you're just like, it's nice to go to work. Like you're like, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Like, and so just knowing that I'm going to work and helping people, really. Just knowing like, oh, this person's going to come in and get their shoulder fixed, or like this baby's getting tubes, or this lady's getting new like cataracts. Like it's just knowing like we're helping these people.
Yeah.
And it's great because one day I may be that person, and I'm like, I hope, I have a good team, in the OR.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, just helping people. I just love it. How can I be better to help like the medical field world better,
An impact. Yeah.
Yeah. And so anyone that comes through, I just try to be like, like
an open book.
And like encouraging.
Yeah.
Like, you can do this. Like, don't let that one person discourage you. Like, you can do it, That's medical field world.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
So kids versus adults. Who's like normally more nervous? And then which do you enjoy more? Oh, really?
But now that I've had a kid, it's like breaks my heart.
Yeah.
But I'm like, so before kids, I was just like, oh, you're fine. But now that I've had a kid, I'm like, okay. Like now, like the momming comes out of me, and I'm like, babying them.
Oh, yeah.
And so helping my nurse, bring them into the room.
Yeah.
And I like even bought like stickers, like 500 stickers.
Yeah.
So I literally will just give them to the kids because, they're scared. Like they don't have their mom. But I'm like, you are in good hands. I try to be so encouraging and like, it's going to be great. Like you're going to see your parents, like,
Yeah.
And so
just Sloan's had 2 surgeries. And so it's like, when you think about the fact that they go back an hour away from you, like you can only imagine what's going through their head. Like,
yes,
because he was 5 months to this first procedure and then a little over a year at his second. So it's just like,
And were you working in the medical? Were you doing medical sales then?
Yes. Well, no, I mean,
you were in school.
I was in school.
Yeah.
I was at the medical sales college with Haley. Then, and then his second one, hadn't broken into the industry yet.
Yeah. Which could be a good thing.
Yeah.
Because like, sometimes when you know too much, you're you're more anxious than they are.
Yeah.
And the baby, the kids know.
Yeah.
They know.
Well, and it's really not as much me, my husband. Like he just is so like that little boy. I mean, he's just our world. And so like Dustin being so removed from, like he's
not
an electrician.
Control.
Yeah. So he's just like, what is happening?
Yeah.
My munchkin, like my baby.
Yes.
Yeah.
Trey, like, honey, it's okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Like, it's like, they're in great hands.
Yeah.
Like, but it is hard.
Yeah.
Like, so sometimes it's nice when people in the medical world and like they're having a surgery or they're at a place that
can have.
Like sometimes it's nice to know who's there,
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, the insider scoop.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So
I think that's what's cool is you get to see like every side of it within like your community. You get to see like, I don't want to say the bad, but like the good, the bad, the in between.
Yes.
And I feel like that's like in any industry, but still, I just think it's kind of cool to have like the inside scoop on it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's awesome.
Oh, definitely. Yes.
Okay. Operating rooms can be high pressure environments. So how do you stay calm and focused when things get intense?
I usually I work honestly really well under pressure. So I think I always try to stay 2 steps ahead of what the doctor may be wanting, or I always try to think like, okay, if this happens, I need to get this or have this on standby. And so I always just try to think ahead, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, It's not always perfect, but at that point when things do hit the fan, I usually just stay quiet and just start, passing what may be the next thing. And so, or I'll just suggest things like, do you want a silk tie, like to tie that off? Or, do you want this or that? So sometimes putting your input in a stressful situation is helpful because, they're human too. Like these doctors, they're under a lot of stress as well. And so sometimes having, that input, to them it's probably what they
Yeah.
need.
And reading
so-
the room, that emotional
Yes.
intelligence, reading the room, assessing the situation.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Let me help.
Yeah.
You know, like one
Right.
team. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And so I always just try to stay ahead. It's obviously like not a time for jokes and funny, like
yeah.
just
Oh.
sip it and just focus on what the situation is and let's get it under control.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, talk later.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
That's important even for med device reps too. Like
Mm-hmm.
if something's going awry in your room and like you can be helpful, especially if you're trying to like pivot a surgeon's business, that is the best time
Mhm.
to put your thinking cap on and
Critical
be
thinking.
helpful, because
Mhm.
there are times that surgeons have pivoted their business because you were there to help
Mm-hmm.
in that critical moment for them, where they
Right.
felt like they just needed.
You've got their back.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
So any way you can be helpful too in the room, especially if it's like, I don't know, like a super stressful situation with the patient, or there's too much bleeding, or like anything like that.
Mhm.
I'm here to help.
Mhm.
It'll help you a lot in the
Right.
long
And
run.
sometimes surgeons like, you know, like you're like, hey, as like a rep, like
Yeah.
I have seen it. You're like, hey, I'm here.
Yeah.
If you
Mhm.
need me, I'm just gonna be in the room.
Yeah.
But they know like you're there and you
Mhm.
want to work instead of being right there in their ear.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Most of the times they want to do business with a person that is a quiet one because they know like,
Mhm.
oh, they know what they're doing. That other person's probably just trying to get that business, and you're just
Mhm.
like, hey, I'm here.
Yeah.
And if you need me, like you can use my stuff.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
sometimes that's like, I feel like a
Mhm.
big,
Yeah.
a big thing, instead of like some reps like are right there just like talking. And I'm like, obviously read the room. Like if he's
Mhm.
giving you short answers, he doesn't want to talk.
Mhm.
But usually I'll like, if I'm like in the room and the
Yeah.
rep comes,
Yeah.
especially if we have new reps, like we usually have the same reps. I'm like, hey, have they told you about this surgeon?
Mhm.
This is kind of how they are,
Mhm.
kind of prepare them.
Yeah. And that's nice that you do that for
Yeah,
us.
I was
Yeah.
Because
gonna
not
say
every scrub, not
no.
every circulator, they'll let you.
They
It
probably
can be a
won't even
dog eat
talk-
dog.
Yes.
And they'll just like, oh, sink or swim, honey.
Yep.
Like you're
Yeah.
gonna learn how the surgeon is, whether it's a positive situation or negative. Like
Right, but it's like later on that could come and bite them in the butt, because like you're going to be there for those surgeries.
that's
Right.
true.
So, like
let's
we're
all work as a team.
let's work as a
Yes.
team, it's
Some people do a really good job at
Yeah.
setting expectations prior to a case with a surgeon, like having that
Mhm.
conversation, whether it be at the scrub sink or before, like, hey doc, are there certain areas, especially in this case, that you are like, no, we're not
Yeah.
talking,
Yeah.
or like, are you the type that likes questions, likes to teach, that doesn't, like just setting expectations before
Right.
you walk in the
Even
room
like
with that
talking
surgeon.
to like their PA.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Like it's so nice
Just-
to, or even the nurse. But sometimes, they won't even
Yeah.
talk.
Know the dynamic before you put
Yeah.
yourself in that situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
again, have emotional intelligence.
Yes.
Read the room,
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Because I think you
Absolutely.
can usually feel when the vibe is just not vibing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, what are some of the skills that are essential for a scrub tech to have, and how did you develop them over time?
I like that question.
Ooh. Well, obviously working under stress
Mhm.
is one. And, working in the OR, it's like, you got to learn how to have fun, but know when to be serious. Also, like passing, and being fast. Doctors like it when,
Yeah.
not them. They don't want to come to you for instruments. Like, you go to them.
Mhm.
Like, be kind of respectful, like, because then they like working with you.
Yeah.
But if you make it hard, then they don't want to work with you.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it's always just
That efficiency piece.
yes. And so, and just be enjoyable to work with,
Yeah. Mhm.
Positive
attitude, like be a
Yeah.
positive person, be kind
Mhm.
to others, like whether it's the surgeon that walks in the room, whether it's the janitor that walks in the room, the CEO, like
Yeah.
kind to everybody, and
Yes.
like be the
Mhm.
person that treat others how you want to be treated.
Yeah. So just like working hard, passing, being efficient, then surgeons know like, oh, this person knows what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
They love to work.
Mm-hmm.
And then instead, like being lazy and sloppy, like just like, then they don't want to work with you.
Yeah.
And then that could literally set the mood for the room. And so, it's just, how are you going to set your room for the day, know? And so I always just try to be efficient, hardworking, like, let's get this done. We got other cases to do, and there's no one to relieve us where I work. Like, we are the people that open and close this place. So let's work and let's go home.
Yeah. For people watching, maybe explain that and the difference of that between like, if you were at the hospital, shift work, relieving, and then versus a surgery
where I
center.
work at the surgery center, it's, we're the first people there, and sometimes we're the last people there. But it's like, obviously they don't stay overnight. So, you have to meet like certain criteria to get surgery there. You can't be ill, you can't be sick, and so it's scheduled surgery. You can't just walk in and get surgery. And so what's scheduled for the day is the day. So, if the last surgery is at 3:45 and that doesn't get done till like 5, like, you are the people to close up, and and everybody wants to go home. So let's bust our butts and let's get it done. Now at the main or at a hospital, it's 24 hours. And so you do have different, people or crews coming in at different times, and they do take call.
Yeah.
Like, we can call, or maybe during the week, I guess. But at the surgery center, we don't. We're Monday through Friday.
Okay.
Which I am thankful for that.
Weekends. Yeah.
Yeah. We don't work weekends or holidays.
Nights. Yeah.
No nights.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I have a question on that. What about your SPD staff? Like, after, say, last case ends at 5.
Yeah. So they usually won't go. They'll have to turn that, those instruments over.
Yeah.
And clean them and sterilize them. So usually, like, they'll probably be the last ones to go.
Okay.
Or like recovery.
Okay.
So, and then, but once once the patient leaves the room, we clean it and we're done. We're done.
Okay.
And so, but they're probably usually the last ones there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I also was wondering about that because, like, when I was in ortho, there was like 1 or 2 surgery centers that some of our docs were at, and it was like we always had to make sure to get our instruments there like
early,
but that was hard because we were splitting the instruments between where they normally operate and then the surgery center, and so it was like, well, Tuesdays we would do surgery center, and then Wednesday we had 4 cases at the hospital, so it was like boom boom. And like sometimes I couldn't get to the surgery center until like, I don't know, 5:30 some days to like pick up instruments. So I was just curious, like, because it was pretty similar to like how your dynamic is there.
Yeah. And sometimes we have to do that too, based on like what surgeries we're doing. If we don't have that set, like, they will have to bring them over from the hospital, turn them, the whole process, which it could delay a case. And like, and hopefully that doesn't happen.
Right.
But sometimes you can't control, what's happening, what we're doing. And so,
What is one piece of advice you'd give somebody who's considering becoming a scrub tech or just started scrub?
Just get out of your comfort zone and do it. Like, take advice from people, also like take notes, but get out of that comfort zone. Put yourself in situations that, obviously you wouldn't put yourself in before. But I feel like once you get and do these surgeries and you get out of that comfort zone, because it is timid to get in the OR, and you're like, because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, even looking back, I was like, I wish I would have put more effort into not being so standoffish. So that's why I try to tell people, I'm like, you will get through this program. You will get a job. But right now, like, put yourself out there.
Mhm.
You know, go into cases that you're like, I don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you know you need to do that.
Mhm.
And you become a better tech, like overall, you
Mhm.
know.
Same with reps. You become a better rep.
Yeah.
Like, put yourself in the hard, nitty gritty, tough situations or conversations, challenging conversations that you don't want to have.
Working with hard doctors, you know, like you know, I'm sure you are familiar. Like people are like, oh, that doctor is very like
finicky.
timid, scary. And you're like, okay, put me in there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and
bring
it's
it
like,
on.
Yeah.
Bring it on, baby.
Mm-hmm. And so I'm usually I'll do that too. I'm like, okay, put me in there. I won't say any, you know.
Yeah.
They'll like me at the end.
I'm like mold. I grow on you. I mean, I start that way, but I grow on you.
Yeah.
I might be nasty at first.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Oh my God.
Right. Like I'm going to be here. So you're going to have to get used to me being here. And so, or it could just be that surgeon that y'all just don't talk the whole time.
Yeah.
Get stuff done.
Yeah.
So.
Or I'm the type that like, I love to kill people with kindness. So I'm like, if you're going to be, okay, if we have to talk in here and you're going to be mean to me, then I'm just going to be the nicest person I can be to you.
Yes.
And then usually by the end of it, they're like, thank you so much for all your help today. And I'm like, yes.
Yes. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can never go wrong being kind. Like,
yes.
even if like it is, you've never felt so in your life because, you know, maybe you've been made to feel small in that moment.
Yes.
Like, be kind, and
especially being in the
overcome it.
OR, you can feel like this little at times.
That's very true.
And just don't, you know, the day will be over and you'll come back and do it. And
I think showing grace to everybody is so important because you never know what that person went through that day. Maybe they didn't mean to react, respond, or like treat you that way if it is a tough conversation or situation. And, you know, but yeah, for sure.
So is there a funny or unexpected moment from your time in the OR that still makes you laugh?
Was it like something maybe that you did during your learning curve that was like, or maybe just, I don't know.
oh gosh.
Or your top story, maybe you tell people about like being in the OR, like that's just funny. Or...
Oh my gosh, I don't even know. Every day was a good day where I work.
Yeah.
Like we have such a great good group of people that it's just
hard to pinpoint. There's so many.
Yes. And you know, it's just, we always laugh. Like every day we're just like laughing, cutting up. Awesome. And it's like, honestly, we're just putting each other down, but like funny. But it's not like, we don't mean it.
Yeah. No.
It's like a bunch of brothers and sisters that you have in a different life. And it's like, you know, like what would people like?
Yeah. That's awesome.
We're like, please don't turn us into HR. We're just kidding.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's fun that you can have that kind of sense of humor and play.
Yes. Yeah.
But work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when the surgeons like to cut up too.
Yes.
You know, it's so nice.
Yes.
And it just makes it so much better. And they're in a great mood.
Yeah.
And like, you know, it just makes everything so much better. Gosh.
It
so
does.
Yeah. I totally agree.
I mean, I don't really have one story.
Yeah. That's okay.
Do you have any funny or strange surgical nicknames?
Yeah, what about that?
That you've given each other throughout your career?
Well, so there's this one person we work with. He like gives everyone nicknames.
Okay.
I love it.
And so for me, he calls me like Orange County, California, because sometimes like I'll have like this California voice. Like
really?
I don't even notice I do it. Like it just happens.
Yeah. Have you ever lived in California?
No.
Oh.
That's what he's like. He's like, you're from Merkel. Like,
what the heck?
What are you doing? Like, I was working with a doctor the other day and he was like, someone named this song. I don't even know. And I'm so bad about stuff like that. I'm like, do not put me on your trivia team. I will make us lose.
Yeah.
Like,
me too.
So bad. And so I was like, oh, is it? I don't even know. I said someone and he was like, you're close. And I got her at the second time. And I was like, oh my gosh. And he like, the guy I'm talking about, Buster, who's like, is that Orange County girl here? He's like, what are you doing? I was like, he's like, you are from Merkel. Please stop. And I'm like, gosh. I don't even notice I do it.
Yeah.
But it just like happens.
That's funny.
And so, but as surgeons, I mean, There's some nicknames out there.
Okay, don't say. Never mind.
Yeah. But usually people we work with, like, we all just make fun of each other.
Yeah.
And, you
It's
know,
fun. Everybody.
usually you're literally every day, I feel like we're laughing and we're crying because we're laughing so hard and
Yeah.
saying like stupid stuff.
Yeah.
So it's nice that I can work in an environment where we can just like pick on each other and like, but we're all picking on each other.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, it's a great day at work.
Yeah.
I love that.
I have this really weird thing that like I associate people with a cartoon character. Like,
Really?
like I can see them and I can just automatically like pick out a cartoon character.
Well, who
that
do
I'm
you
like,
pick out
they
for?
look exactly. And it's not with everybody. It's just like if there's certain features.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then like once
Yeah.
you start that, like you can't unsee it. So
Yeah.
then like you,
Yeah.
and then that turns into like you want to like nickname them that.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
and like, but have fun with it, but like also read the room. Like there are
Yeah.
certain people you
So
can't
there's
tell
not
them
really
what
like
you,
nicknames.
Okay.
I would say like there's quotes.
Yeah.
Oh Lord. Okay.
Things that surgeons say all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I have one that he like, even for certain like instruments, which this brings up a good point. Like, you have to learn over time what they call certain things because surgeons
Yeah.
call different instruments different
like,
things.
well, most instruments can have like 5 different names.
Yes.
Yes.
And so that's annoying,
and
but here we
so-
are.
But here we are.
So like one of ours with like the spine instruments, he's like, just give me the thing that never works. And like
Everyone
Yeah.
knows what that is.
yeah, everybody in the room knows what that is, but like if it was a new scrub tech or like a new rep, it would be like,
You'd be like, what?
Sorry, sir, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
What is that thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So-
so funny.
Yeah, we have quotes.
Okay.
You
That's
know.
hilarious.
So Abilene, I thought it'd be funny, but I feel like I don't write them down, so I can't list them. But just things that surgeons have said to you in the OR. Or have you seen that TikTok trend where like these 2 girls are talking about as their teachers, and they're
Mhm.
like they sit
Yes.
down and they're like mean things that students have said to
Oh
us
my
in the
gosh,
classroom.
yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's like
or
doing
some
a
of them
trend-
have the most outlandish things that their kids
Yes.
have said.
Yes.
I'm like,
Like, what was it? They would write down like, oh, what was it? The teacher's reading off. I don't know if it was like their Christmas list or like notes or like things like, I want to be this when I grow up, or like,
yeah.
so I think we should do an episode like that.
Oh yeah, I think it'd be so funny, but we have to like
of
take
what?
note to do an episode of things
Things
that
that have been-
surgeons have
yeah.
said to us in the OR.
Like, y'all need to have a fishbowl.
Oh god.
And y'all need to have like people that have like come through
Okay.
Yeah.
that like
I
have
love
written
that.
stuff, and then like your guests can just write, you know, are y'all like things that someone not even
Yeah, so it'd be
Yeah.
super
said?
random. And
so then you could just pull it out and be like, the quote or whatever. The saying
love
today
that
is
is such a good idea. You can
because
start
then
it.
you
Yep.
don't know, like no one's gonna know.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
don't
it's
know
just a
who said
non-
it. You don't know who this comes from, and we can
Mhm.
preface it with that. Plus, that'd be so much more funny because then us reading the quote,
We have
would
no
be like,
idea who it's coming from.
What?
Y'all could
You know?
literally like kick off each episode like that.
Okay,
I seriously
you're
love this
starting
idea.
that.
Yeah, so you have to
I'm
write.
a trendsetter.
Yeah, you are. It's
So you
awesome.
need to write one down.
Oh,
Josh.
okay.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh,
yeah.
that's all. Yes,
Before
you
you
have to
leave.
before you leave.
I will.
Okay, or 5. Give us 5.
Yeah. Okay.
Heck yeah.
I'm sure you have a million.
Okay, I want to ask you this question. I told Sarah, I'm like, I have to ask her this.
Yes.
Yeah.
As a scrub tech, what is your biggest pet peeve and favorite thing that reps do to help you set up for a case or during a procedure?
Or just have success in a case. Yeah.
Well, biggest pet peeve is obviously everyone sets up differently. So it's nice, like when you work with certain people that you have all trained together, or, you know, their back table or their Mayo is like a complete mess. I'm like literally OCD. I walk in, I'm like, oh, can you like tidy this up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Type A
if
here.
I am going in and it's like a hot mess, I'm like, you're just literally setting me up for failure.
Mm-hmm.
And this, you know, like it's already probably a freaking like stressful case. So I'm like, I'm not going to find anything. Like, and now, you know, this doctor's going to get mad at me.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's just like my biggest pet peeve, people who aren't like tidy, like on their Mayo or their back table. They're just like messy.
Yeah.
And
And
so
you
then I'm like,
mean-
if you're messy here,
yeah.
I'm like, you're probably just, you know, a messy person. Like at home, I can't,
yeah.
you know, but
Are you talking about like if you go in and like relieve
relieve
somebody
yeah, for like
from
lunch,
or
or
whatever?
if it's
Yeah.
like my late day,
Yeah.
I'll go relieve them so they can go home.
Yeah.
But I'm very thankful for our reps, though, because if we're doing a case I'm not familiar with, it's so nice to have them there because I'm like, I need you here.
Because they're the experts on that technology.
Yeah.
And if they they're familiar with that set that we're using.
Right.
And there can be so much stuff in a set, you know, if we're doing like orphs and stuff or even if we're using a new anchor.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm definitely not going to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's very nice that most of the time, like our reps are always there.
Yeah.
You know, and so if not, like we're calling them like, are y'all coming?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to need your help.
Yeah.
Well,
so
especially too in ortho, like a lot of the instruments like go together, but in the set they're taken apart. And so like,
yes,
you have to know.
Yeah.
This is like a puzzle.
Yeah. That was like a learning curve for me in the beginning of ortho, like especially a dang acetabular reamer.
Yeah.
Holy moly. There's like 5 different pieces and you got to piece them all together. And it's like, it's a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah. I don't blame you.
Well, yeah. And so, I mean, and it's nice when the rep wants to be helpful too, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's nice. We have some good reps.
That's awesome.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
I'm very thankful.
That's
and they're usually always there. Some of them. But usually ortho guys are always there.
Yeah.
Different companies have different set different expectations. Like training to proficiency and then like call me if you need me. But like your territory is so big, your market, you know, like just depending on the different industry.
Yeah, and that is true. Like usually the ones that live here we always see. Obviously there's reps that are like from Dallas or Lubbock. If we do have issues, like they do leave their number and we can call them and they'll like, you know, we'll FaceTime them like, we can't get this.
Yeah, walk me through this.
Yeah. And they're like, oh yeah. And so usually they're pretty great about that. So that's always nice.
That's good.
You know.
That's awesome.
Good. Yeah. How long have you been, Haley, doing medical stuff?
But yeah. Ortho and then for 8 months and then now I'm with a distributor in spine. So
do you like that better?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a different world too.
For sure. Okay, looking ahead, what would you like to see change in the technology world, but for surgical technology?
Yeah.
For you.
Nothing. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, it's always changing, so it's nice. You know, sometimes I feel like I'm like turning, like I'm getting older and I'm like, I don't want change. Because, you know, you're so used to doing something one way, but in the medical field, like it's always changing. And it's nice. Like, you know, things are getting so much more advanced. And so sometimes it's easier because it's making surgery not as long. So, you know, like doctors have block time. So, you know, maybe they can fit in another case. And so, it's just always changing. So it's nice. But I think for the better.
Yeah.
You know, and for this scrub tech, you know, I did a case the other day and we had to use this stuff for like bleeding. And I was like, I've never used this before. Well, they had literally pictures on the back, like directions, this. And I was like, it was almost kind of like common sense. Like when you're in the medical field world scrubbing, like it's kind of almost like common sense stuff just starts clicking in. So I really didn't have to read it. I was like, okay, this.
Okay, yeah.
I know what we're trying to do. I know the end game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I looked at it, but I was like, it took me literally like 2 minutes.
Seconds. Skim. Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of, you know,
being like,
if they didn't have it, like any pictures, like I would have been like, I have no idea how to do this.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm a visual learner.
Yeah.
So, and this, I just would say like, I think things always are changing, but for the better, you know, for the medical world, for patient care, which is good. Because if you talk to someone, you know, that scrubbed 20 years ago, they could probably tell you a whole different
world of stories of
that, you know, things that they did that we probably didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
So
it's true.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, dang, that must have sucked, you know?
Yeah.
Even down to like the different retractors and stuff. It's all changing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know much about that, but I just know that
I mean,
they've changed.
self-retaining tractors are nice.
Yeah.
That's nice for people. Then you don't have to like hold the
it.
whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Your arm, and
Yes.
then you stand the whole time,
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I mean, I feel like it's already heading to that direction
Mm-hmm.
of things changing.
Mm-hmm.
It's always changing,
Yeah.
They're working on stuff right now. We have no idea,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to hit the market or come to y'all for y'all to sell. And you're like, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
why do I,
Yeah.
And they're like,
You're like, this is brilliant.
yes,
Yeah.
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 So,
That's awesome. Well, good.
yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Okay. What's the most fulfilling part about knowing that your job directly impacts patients, their health, and their recovery?
Like fulfilling, like as in, like the end goal.
Yeah.
Just knowing that, they're here to be pain-free, like to get things fixed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're going to do,
Mhm.
like everything will be okay in the end. And we're going to get you fixed. We're going to get you healing. You can go to therapy after, like if they have like, shoulder surgery, or, cataracts or hernias, or, even doing C-sections, like
Mhm.
working in labor and delivery, like, knowing that this mother maybe was trying like IVF or IUI for years, or they've been trying to have kids, and, knowing that they're about to meet their baby, it's just like so rewarding. Like, I'm like, your life is going to change for the better. And it's going to be amazing. And just seeing those parents happy and, crying. It's just so, it's just so nice, like to see the good come out of it, And so just meeting the end goal of getting people better and getting families to meet, what God is giving them, their little baby. And so
that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah. And so it's just knowing, like, at the end of the day, like, you went to work and it was successful. You got stuff done. You helped people.
Yeah.
And you get to come back and do it again.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what keeps, the job going.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
I love that.
I love it. That's awesome.
Well,
You're making Haley teary-eyed over there.
no, I'm not crying.
Okay. Well, Amber, thank you so much. You have just given so much insight into your world and everything scrub. And I've enjoyed learning from you and understanding more about the dynamics of your specific role and profession. And I appreciate what you do. I appreciate the way that you are impacting patients and the energy that you bring to the room.
Me too.
Yeah. So thank you for all that you do, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Of course.
Thank you for joining us. Yeah.
Thank
y'all for watching.
Yes. Stay tuned for our next episode.